The major responsibility was women were dedicated towards the implementation of household responsibilities, and they were not allowed to participate in the implementation of other tasks and activities, nor they were allowed to express their ideas and viewpoints. हम बात कर रहे हैं प्री इंडिपेंडेंस पीरियड की. आज भी हमारी जो औरतों की स्थिति है उसमें कोई खास इम्प्रूवमेंट नहीं हुआ है लेकिन इतना नहीं हुआ है जितना हम चाहते हैं. In addition, they were overwhelmed by the practices of child marriage. Restraints were imposed upon widow marriage, female infanticide, female foeticide, female infanticide, parda pratha, sati, and polygamy. But within the course of time, with the efforts of social workers, social reformers, measures were taken and been formulated that bring definitely about improvement within the status of women, position of women. There are many acts which are passed for the benefit of women, for the protection of women. I will give you the name of some of the acts: Dowry Prohibition Act, Indian Divorce Act, Maternity Benefit Act, Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act, Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act, Commission of Sati Prevention Act, Protection of Women from Domestic, Married Women Property Act, Dissolution of Muslim Marriage Act, National Commission of Marriage Act, Special Marriage Act, Hindu Marriage Act, Hindu Succession Act, Immoral Traffic Prevention Act. There are so many acts. Even there are other laws and acts also which protects women. This is a very wide topic. Now, right to education, right to freedom, right to choose a religion. All of us learned about these fundamental rights in school. All of you know our constitution gives every citizen these basic rights to ensure that he or she lives a life without discrimination and oppression. Well, similarly, there are rights of a married woman that ensure their well-being and prevent them from being oppressed. कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ इंडिया, हमारा संविधान, रक्षा करता है औरतों की एंड जो डिप्राइव्ड सेक्शंस हैं और वल्नरेबल सेक्शंस ऑफ द सोसाइटी, एंड आल्सो प्रमोट्स इक्वलिटी ऑफ स्टेटस ऑफ अपॉर्चुनिटी टू ऑल, फॉर ऑल. द फंडामेंटल राइट्स डील एक्सटेंसिवली विद द इशू ऑफ इक्वालिटी. Article 14, Article 15, 15.3, 16, 21, 23, 24. In these fundamental rights, women are protected. I will give you in brief about these articles. Article 14 states that all citizens of the country are equal before law and have equal protection of law. Article 15 lays down that the state shall not discriminate against any citizen on the ground of religion, dharam, race, sex and place of birth. धर्म, सेक्स, जाति और जहां पर वो कहां पर बच्चा पैदा हुआ है उसके आधार पर डिस्क्रिमिनेशन नहीं कर सकते. Article 15.3 in fact permits states to make special provision for women and children to safeguard their rights. 16 deals with equality of opportunity in matters of public employment. It gives women the same right as men in relation to access of jobs, conditions of employment, relationships at work, and opportunity for capacity building of career progression. Article 21 is a very important right, deals with the right to life and personal liberty. 23, 24 of the Constitution deal with the right against exploitation. Article 23 prohibits human trafficking and forced labor to women, which are generally subjected to. Now we come to very important right to maintenance. As per section 125 of the CRPC, a husband is not free from his duty. Husband ने शादी की है पत्नी को लेके आया है तो उसकी ये ड्यूटी बनती है कि उसको बेसिक एमिनिटीज प्रोवाइड करे, जैसी खाना, कपड़े, रेजिडेंस, मेडिकल ट्रीटमेंट एंड एजुकेशन टू हिज चिल्ड्रन, वाइफ, चाहे उनके बीच में रिश्ता कितना ही कड़वा क्यों ना हो. दिस इज द रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ऑफ द हस्बैंड. राइट टू लिव with dignity and self-respect. Every Indian daughter-in-law, hailing from any religion, is guarded by the right to live with dignity and self-respect. According to this, every Indian woman has a right to have the same lifestyle. Now, मैं क्या जानना चाह रही हूँ, जिसमें जिस लाइफ स्टाइल में उसका पति रहता है या उसके इन-लॉज रहते हैं, उसका अधिकार उसी लाइफ स्टाइल में जीने का है. वो उससे नीचे के लाइफ स्टाइल में उसको नहीं कह सकते कि आप इसमें जिए, हम इसमें जी रहे हैं. शी हैज अ राइट टू लिव विद द सेम लाइफ स्टाइल as her husband and in-laws. It is also her right to be free from torture and mental or physical. Right to Stridhan. Stridhan refers to all gifts a woman received during pre-marriage ceremonies or during birth of her baby or after marriage. As per the provision, a woman has ownership to all Stridhan even after separation from marriage. अगर वो अपने हस्बैंड से अलग भी हो जाती है और तो उसको शादी से पहले, शादी के बाद और जो बाद बीच में बच्चा पैदा होने पर जो भी गिफ्ट्स मिलते हैं, शी हैज अ राइट टू ऑल दोज गिफ्ट्स. अगर वो उसका डाइवोर्स हो जाता है उसके बाद भी शी हैज अ राइट. इट इंक्लूड्स ऑल मूवेबल, ऑल इमूवेबल प्रॉपर्टी, गिफ्ट्स, मनी एटसेट्रा. उसका इसके लिए ये क्यों बनाया गया था राइट टू स्त्रीधन? Just to give her a financial security, which is the key behind idea before this right. However, this right is only for Hindu women. Now come to right to residence. Every wife has a right to live in the matrimonial house where her husband resides, irrespective of whether it is a joint family house, an ancestral property, rental house, or a self-acquired house. Right to parental property, it's a very important right. Recently, Supreme Court has passed a judgment in this case. Earlier, there was an amendment under the Hindu Succession Act in 2005, where every daughter, whether married or unmarried, has the right to inherit the property of her father after his death. They also have a share in the mother's property. But after this judgment, which has been recently passed by the Supreme Court has held that the daughters have equal rights in Hindu family property. All Hindu women now have a equal rights to their father's property from 1956. When the succession law was first codified, that daughters have equal rights as sons in Hindu ancestral property. This ruling, which has recently been passed, has extended the scope of legislation introduced in 2005. जो 2005 में अमेंडमेंट आया था, उसको उन्होंने आगे बढ़ाया है स्कोप को, to cases where the father had died before the law was introduced. Here what has been introduced is the daughter shall remain a co-partner, one who shares equally with other in inheritance of an undivided joint family property throughout life, irrespective of whether her father is alive or dead. Daughters must be given equal rights as sons. Right to meher for Muslim brides. Similar to the concept of Stridhan as for Hindus, meher is gift promised by the husband to the wife at the time of contracting the marriage. The gift can be cash, jewelry, house, or any other property which become a Muslim wife's sole property. Right to maintenance after divorce, Muslim law. According to Muslim women, Protection of Right of Divorce Act, if divorced. It is her right to give maintenance charges fulfilled by her husband till the iddat period ends. After the iddat period ends, अगर उसकी शादी नहीं हो पाती है या वो अपने आप को फर्दर सस्टेन नहीं कर पाती है, तो she can seek maintenance from her parents or district waqf board according to section 4 of the Muslim Women Protection Rights on Divorce Act. Now come the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act 1971. Under the Indian Penal Code, voluntary termination of a pregnancy is a criminal offense. कोई भी अपने आप abortion नहीं करवा सकता. Take the permission of the court from the with the consultation of the panel of the doctors. The Medical Termination Act 1971 allows for aborting the pregnancy by medical doctors, which with specified specialization on certain grounds. There should be certain grounds, not ordinary way you can go and ask terminate my pregnancy. A pregnancy may be terminated up to 12 weeks based on the opinion of one doctor and up to 24 weeks based on the opinion of two doctors. Now recently a bill has been passed in 2020 March, where it has been extended up to 24 weeks, but on certain grounds. What are those grounds? These grounds are: termination is permitted only when continuance of the pregnancy would invoke risk to the life of pregnant woman. अगर pregnant woman को life का risk है उस pregnancy को continue करने में, उसमें वो allow करता है, but definitely doctor का panel बैठता है. या cause of grave injury to her mental or physical health, including rape or failure of birth control measures, or in the case of fetal abnormalities. कभी बच्चे में कोई abnormality है, fetal abnormality है. The now other act, that is a Maternity Benefit Act, that is also a very important act. The Maternity Benefit Act protects the employment of women during the time of maternity and entitles them to full paid absence from work to take care of the child. The amendment in 2015 seeks to increase maternity leave period to 26 weeks in all established, including private sector. 26 वीक तक के लिए उनको maternity benefit दिया गया. They are entitled to take care of the child with full paid. But if it is a second child and if it is a third child, then the maternity benefit is allowed up to 12 weeks only. Now, if we focus further, it is clear that addressing domestic violence has become an urgent issue, not only for the government, as it is a public health crisis and a criminal act, but also for the society. Laws on domestic violence. There are several laws protecting a married woman from abuse from her husband or her husband's relative under Section 498A of the IPC. Harassment for dowry by the husband or his family is considered a crime. This harassment can either be mental or physical. Section 490 has a very, very wide scope. It also covers any and all willful conducts against a woman which drive the woman to commit suicide. इस हद तक उसके साथ torture हो कि वो suicide करने पर आमदा हो जाए. Or grave injury or risk to life, limb, or overall health. Again, health includes the mental and physical health of a woman. The offense under this section is cognizable, non-bailable, and non-compoundable. Explanation: this section also defines the meaning of cruelty. Under this section, the punishment is for the given for the in-laws or for the husband, imprisonment for 3 years, and fine cognizable if information relating to the commission of offence is given to an officer in charge of the police station by the person aggrieved, या तो वो जिसके पर अत्याचार हो रहा है या उसके फैमिली में, by the person related to her by blood, marriage or adoption, if there is such relative, by any public servant belonging to such class or category, they should be imprisoned for 3 years. The practice of dowry itself outlawed under the Dowry Prohibition Act 1961. Under under this section, there was a penalty for taking or giving dowry. That this is a section 3. I am reading this section. If any person, after the commencement of this act, gives or takes or abets the giving or taking dowry, देता है या लेता है या उसको बढ़ावा देता है, he shall be punishable with the imprisonment for a term which not less be 5 years, or with fine which shall not be less than 15,000 rupees, or the amount of the value of such dowry, whichever is more. Now come furthermore, the Protection of Women Against Domestic Violence Act 2005 prohibits a wide range of abuse against women, physical, emotional, sexual, and economical, and these are extensively defined under this act. The scope of this act covers a woman who are in a live-in relationship and are not married even. A woman has the choice to be free from violence and has various options under this act. अगर उसको लगता है कि उसके साथ अत्याचार हो रहा है और she don't want to it to be continued, she can come and file complaint under the Protection of Women Against Domestic Violence Act. She has a right to get an order of protection against her husband and his family to continue living in the same house. She cannot be thrown out of the matrimonial home even if she reports her abusers, to claim maintenance, to have custody to her children, and to claim compensation. Under the DV Act, this Act, and also under Section 125 of the CRPC, of the IPC, a woman does not have the necessity to file for a divorce to have a right to receive maintenance. अगर उसको maintenance चाहिए तो divorce petition की necessity नहीं है कि पहले वो file करेगी तब उसको maintenance मिलेगी from her husband. The nature of a married relationship is such that it makes it incumbent on the man to provide maintenance for his wife. A petition for maintenance is maintainable even in the absence of one for divorce. Now, another important act is Equal Remuneration Act, makes it mandatory for employers to not discriminate only on the ground of sex when it comes to the paying their employees. क्या हम मेल को ज्यादा पेमेंट देंगे, फीमेल को कम देंगे, ये नहीं, they are protected under the Equal Remuneration Act. The Act also mandates that employees cannot discriminate in matters of appointment on ground of sex unless the employment for women for job in question is prohibited by law. There is another specific law against sexual harassment at workplace. So women can feel safe in their workplaces and can report any violation. It is also a provision to encourage the economic independence of women by ensuring they feel safe to come out of their house to work. Change in social attitude is very critical. Inmate partner violence is a problem which needs to be addressed from multiple angles. While important changes are needed to law and policy, there are several expectations from the wider society as well. So I'm finishing with this. You can ask questions.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am, I'm going to ask
Good
you some
afternoon
questions.
to you. Yes.
So, ma'am, let me start with the first question.
Yes.
So, your first question is right to live a life of dignity and self-respect and have a committed relationship. What type of rights this statement includes?
Well, right to live a life of dignity and self-respect. I will give this answer of this question in three forms.
Yes, ma'am.
Under the Constitution, I will come later on other issues. The as I already told you, under the Constitution, women are protected. Under the Constitution, I have told you that every individual right to dignity, optimal growth, and life to free of discrimination. And in spite of this violence against women and girls is widespread and manifests itself in various forms and occurs both in public and private places. Women are protected under Article 14, 15, 15.3, 16, 21, 23, 24 that I have already told you. Now, under the directive principles of state policy also they are protected, which provides guidelines for formation of laws and policies and contain beneficial provisions for women like Article 39, 39, 42, and that I will discuss later on. And the women are also protected. And there are fundamental duties, duty on all citizens through Article 51A to renounce all practices of derogatory to women. Now I will give the answer of this question in second form. What all this is, this Constitution, under the Constitution. In our Supreme Court, there is a judgment, and this is a Constitution bench judgment, Gyan Kaur versus State of Punjab. What has been passed in that judgment, right to live with dignity under Article 21 will be inclusive of right to die with dignity. The decision does not arrive at a conclusion. ये एक डिसीजन कोर्ट का ये ऑर्डर था जो कि अपने कंक्लूजन पे क्यों नहीं पहुंचा, क्योंकि इसमें वैलिडिटी ऑफ यूथेनेशिया की पूछी गई थी. अब आप लोग पूछेंगे व्हाट इज यूथेनेशिया. यूथेनेशिया इज ए मेडिकल टर्म. This is active euthanasia and passive euthanasia. What is active euthanasia? Active euthanasia is where we give high dose of injections, not we, panel of doctors, with the order of the court, where the patient in such a miserable condition that the family and the patient wants to die because he cannot survive. There is a renal cancer, that the person in a vegetable state. So this is active euthanasia. The panel of doctors give the injection or they give overdose of painkillers that the patient died. And what is passive euthanasia? Withdraw the life support. Why I am telling you this? I am telling you this, right to life with dignity under Article 21 will also inclusive of right to die with dignity. इस केस में क्या हुआ था? Ultimately, where this case has been decided, this issue of euthanasia has been decided is in the case of, you all students should write this case, Aruna Ramchandra Shanobag versus Union of India 2011 4 SCC 454. The bench of Markande Karju and Gyan Sudha Mishra had refused to allow Aruna Shanobag, who had been the center of euthanasia since 42 years. She was in a vegetable state for 42 years. Euthanasia, इसी केस को लेकर फिर डिस्कशन हुआ था आगे. Offer permanent vegetable states to be euthanized but allow terminally ill patients to choose to be passive euthanized. इस केस में सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने डिसाइड किया कि हम एक्टिव यूथनेशिया नहीं दे सकते, बट वी कैन गिव पैसिव यूथनेशिया टू दोज केसेस. Passive euthanasia, which I am again telling you, withdraw the life support. Now, if you will see, third point, right to live a life with dignity and self-respect, have a committed relationship, you are asking. What is if a woman is married, committed relationship? She has been tortured by her husband, he has been tortured by her in-laws, but she has to right to live with dignity. She has her full right to be happy in her matrimonial house. She can file a complaint under the Women Protection for Women and Domestic Violence Act for her rights. She can file a complaint before the magistrate where she can get the order. Second question.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much. The second question is, if a woman dies, who has right over her Sweden?
Okay. A woman has an absolute right over her Stridhan, wealth. She has the power to sell, bifurcate or give it away as she wishes during the lifetime and thereafter also. Her husband and her in-laws, family members have no rights over a woman's Stridhan. Now section 15 of the Hindu Succession Act. The property of a woman, Hindu, dying intestate without any will, shall devolve according to the rules set out in section 16. Firstly, upon the sons and daughters, including the children of any predeceased son and daughter and the husband. Secondly, upon the heirs of husband. Thirdly, upon the mother and father. Fourthly, upon the heirs of father. And lastly, upon the heirs of mother. Next question, please.
The third question is, are you legally responsible for your husband's debt?
As a general rule, you are liable for those debts you incur, जो आपने करके incur. If you and your spouse have a shared credit card in both of your names, you are both liable for the debts. If your spouse take out credit cards or loans, but you are not named in the credit card or loans of documents, you are generally not personally liable for these debts. Now the question arises, am I ever responsible for my spouse debts if I am not signed for the debt? Sometimes you can be liable for your spouse debts even if you did not sign the contract of loan. This can happen only for necessary items such as food, medical care, etc. The creditor can come to you for the payment of these items only if your spouse does not have enough money to pay the debt and you do not have enough money to pay the debt. For example, assume the wife has medical problems and has to go to the hospital emergency room. Assume she cannot pay the medical room for her visit. If her husband does not have enough money to pay these bills, the creditor can come after him for payment to these bills. Even the husband did not sign anything agreeing to the responsible for the emergency room bills. You want some further detailed answer also? Is it okay?
Ma'am,
I can give you further detailed answer also of this question. If a husband and wife have been separated for 10 years, just for example, but they are not divorced, can their creditors still come after them for payment of their necessary item? This is the next question which I am telling you related to this topic only. They are still legally married and the creditor could come after them for his debts for necessary expenses. Once you are divorced, you would not be responsible to his creditors for payment of his debt even for necessary items. Okay. Next question.
Yes, ma'am. Section 498 of IPC has come as a major amendment which was inserted for safeguarding of women's right and empowerment. What is the recovery in the case of false 498A accusations?
I have already told you about 498A. What is 498A and the punishment in 498A? And I told you also that this is a cognizable non-compoundable and non-bailable offense. Now I will tell you what is cognizable, non-compoundable and bailable. A cognizable offense is an offense in which the police can arrest the convict without a warrant and can start an investigation without the permission of the court. Compoundable offense are those that can be compromised, that the complainant can agree to take back the charges level against the accused, where non-compoundable offense are those more serious offenses in which the parties cannot compromise. Now, इस तरीके के केसेस में जो 498A जो इंट्रोड्यूस हुआ है, जो आप लोग पूछना चाह रहे हैं क्वेश्चन कि इसका मिसयूज भी होता है, इसका मिसयूज भी काफी हो रहा है, जिसमें कि पति के रिश्तेदारों को भी फंसा दिया जाता है और कभी कभी वो इस तरीके के केसेस में अननेसेसरी फंस जाते हैं. Thus, in most of the cases, the relatives of the husband are being dragged into courts in cases of Section 498A. However, it is not necessary that they have been party to the offense. Thus, a question with respect to the need for direction to prevent misuse of Section 498 were raised in the appeal in a case in which has been decided by the Supreme Court. And some direction has been given to the Family Welfare Committee has been formed, and some direction has been given in this family. There are many directions. I am reading some of the important directions. Every complaint has to be referred to the committee, and the committee has to submit the report to the authority who referred to such complaint. The report may be then considered by the investigation officer or the magistrate on its own merit. The work of the committee includes looking into every complaint under Section 490A received by the police or the magistrate. No arrest should normally be effected till report of the committee is received. So this is the directions कि आप directly एकदम आप arrest नहीं कर सकते जब तक कि committee की report नहीं आ जाए. Next question.
Okay, what are the rights of married women in HUF property of husband, and how can she claim maintenance when rental income of husband is only source of income coming out from HUF's property?
If a karta passes away, can his wife or daughter become a karta? No. It is also possible for a wife to be karta if she has son who is 18 years of age. On the demise of a male karta, it is now possible for a daughter to become a karta of the Hindu undivided family under the circumstances where she is the eldest adult co-partner in the family. The courts have found no restriction in the law preventing the eldest female co-partner of a Hindu undivided family for being its karta. However, in case of wife of the husband karta, the same arguments cannot be extended since the wife of the deceased karta is never treated as a co-partner to the HUF property. A widow therefore cannot act as a karta of the HUF after the death. Interesting, in a case where the surviving male co-partners were minors, the courts took a view that the widow can be a manager of the HUF property while distinguish the position of a woman manager from that of a karta. Now the second question which you asked, the second part of the question is that whether she is entitled maintenance from the rent of the HUF property. So I don't think it is only a Hindu widow who gets interest in her husband in the co-partnership or joint family property upon the death of her husband. That interest enables her to claim maintenance and residence. If उसके अगर पति को इंटरेस्ट मिलता है उसकी प्रॉपर्टी में से, तभी वो उस इंटरेस्ट को क्लेम कर सकती है. अगर इस तरीके से अगर उसके पति का डेथ हो जाती है और वो खाली इनकम जो आ रही है उस एंसेस्टर प्रॉपर्टी के थ्रू आ रही है और पति नहीं है, तो आई डोंट थिंक शी कैन क्लेम फ्रॉम द when the husband has no right, no income from her, of his no income, she cannot claim. Second question.
Yes, ma'am. What are the rights married women have in case her husband dies or is not appropriately available with respect to her material household, and are these rights and provision actually applied thereafter benefiting such women?
Wife is entitled to an equal share of her husband's property, like other entitled heirs. If there are no sharers, she has full right to entire property. She is also entitled to maintenance, support and shelter from husband, and if staying in a joint family property from the family. Example 1. For example, a person A dies without writing a will. He is survived by his wife, son and a daughter. In this case, A's wife, son and a daughter come under class 1 heir. So all three people being class 1 heir will get an equal share in A's wealth. Example 2. A person B dies without writing a will. He is survived by the following in the family: wife, son and 2 children of his dead daughter. In this case, there are 3 units. 1 is wife, 1 his son, and 1 the children of the deceased daughter. His wife will get 1/3 share, his son will get 1/3 share, and remaining 1/3 share will be divided among 2 children of his deceased daughter. Example 3. A person C dies without writing a will. His wife is already dead. He is survived by 2 sons, 2 daughters. All of them are married. In this case, the wealth will be equally divided between his 2 sons, 2 daughters. Each will get 1/4 share in this wealth. Next question.
Next question is, what are the rights for married women? How can she approach courts for domestic violence faced by her in the house? How has the government helped in improving situation of married women?
Under the Protection of Women from Domestic Violence Act 2005, which was passed by the central government in the year 2005 to shield women from domestic abuse and harassment. The novelty of this act lies in its attempt to comprehensively define domestic violence for the first time in India. This act inherently is a civil law with an additional power to penalize in the event of its violation. The act is very promising legislation that combines civil remedies and criminal procedures to provide effective remedies to the women who become victim of domestic violence. This act also provides for protection officers medical facility free of cost orders, which helps the aggrieved women in protecting themselves of their loved ones. Section 12 provides that an aggrieved person, sufferer, 1, may present an application to the magistrate seeking one or more relief under this act. Under the provisions of Section 20, the magistrate, while dealing with the application under subsection 1, Section 12 is empowered to direct the respondent to pay monetary relief to meet the expenses incurred and losses suffered by the aggrieved person and any child of the aggrieved person as a result of domestic violence. This may include, but it is not limited to, an order of compensation of the aggrieved person as well as her children, if any, including an order under this addition to that for maintenance. Even then he can claim compensation under the Domestic Violence Act. The lady can claim maintenance under section 125 of the CRPC also. Without section 22 is also important. In addition to the other reliefs as may be granted under this act, the magistrate may, on an application being made by the aggrieved person, pass an order directing the respondent to pay compensation and damages for the injuries including mental torture, emotional distress caused by the acts of domestic violence committed by that respondent. Next question.
Ma'am, it is his last question.
Yes.
In case of domestic violence, most of women don't come up to file reports against their husbands or their families. What exactly is the reason for it? Illiteracy, poverty, or male chauvinism? Will education women of their legal rights help them gather courage to speak up?
No. I think they are more afraid of speaking up because they think they have a status in the society, so they don't come up. What prevents women from speaking up against their abuses? It is the state of learned helplessness that keeps most women in abusive relationship. Lack of support from family and society can make a woman feel helpless and feel she has no other choice but to stick to the relationship. Often the cycles of abuses become so permeating that she cannot think a solution even. She cannot assert her right or seek help. And what is the other course or other problem is economics has a major role to play in the preventing women from leaving abusive husband. बहुत तो वर्किंग नहीं होती, घर में रहती हैं, शादी हो जाती है, उसके बाद वो कहाँ जाएं अगर उनके साथ पेरेंट्स इनको नहीं लेते हैं, तो वो economy is the main problem. In cases where women are dependent on their husband, if they report abuse, do we offer decent shelter homes to keep her safe? I don't think so. Society इतनी अभी जाग पाई है कि हम लोग सब उनकी हेल्प कर पाए. I think all questions are.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Okay. Namaskar, all of you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much for this guest lecture, and I'm very thankful that you could get time for us. Thank you. Sanya?
Sorry, ma'am. मेरा नेट नहीं
left.
चल रहा था.
I think ma'am has left, or there is some issue. She has disconnected.
Okay.
Okay. So fine. I believe lecture is also over, and it was good. Sanya, please switch on the video.
Yes, ma'am.
Very well done. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Very well done. Very good. And anybody, any one of you, if wants to do something, if wants to organize something, you can tell me. I'm here and we'll do it. We'll materialize it. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Bachcho. Thank you, Sanya.
Thank you, ma'am.
Very good
Thank you,
effort.
everybody, for joining.
Thank you, Sanya.